Well, first of all, how have you been since we talked last, which is what, a week and a half ago or so, something like that.
I've missed you too.
I've, we've missed you.
One of the things that is so clear to me is that the secret of business, especially if you're a solopreneur, is that your business has to solve your problems, right? And
True.
not be okay, but not because I'm such a problematic human, but there are so many inner child issues that I realize that my business is actually solving for, and that my ideal customer is me, because who knows me better? And the more I lean into that, the more I find people who are amazing, like obviously I am, but that I want to be in my life. And the core prime objective and the reason I started my business is because I was frankly so lonely and I wanted people to talk to. And I now have lots of people to talk to. It's pretty that I actually like, right?
Yeah,
And when you are a solopreneur and you have that privilege, my gosh, it it yeah, it's tremendous.
that's awesome.
That's really, really great.
Yeah, talk about
We need
creating
to
the
mark
life
that
that
down
you
for a
want to live.
soundbite. That's awesome. All right. So, everybody, welcome to the Boombox Boardroom with our guest, Betsy Tong, author, speaker, human centric technologist, former tech exec. Welcome, Betsy.
Hi,
Hello. Welcome to our little show here.
thank you.
Very conversational. We've got a number of things to talk about today. But for everybody out there in the intersphere, would you give us a little bit of your background just to kind of tee things up?
Yes. So I am somebody um, who is a lifelong curious George. And so every job that I've ever had has allowed me to dive in deep into some topic that I know nothing about and have no expertise in, and bring, actually, very luckily, great people into the room with me that are better than I am. And then as a whole, we create something great. And so this is what allowed me to go from to take a PowerPoint from the chief strategy officer at Symantec when Symantec was a big enterprise software company
Mm-hmm.
and wanted to go into purpose built appliances. It allowed me to take a PowerPoint that he said, look, appliances are like this, software is like this, we want to do this. So, okay, how do we build an appliance business? And I said, I don't know. But I knew how to bring people together and I knew how to figure things out. And over the course of 5 years, we went from 0 to 500 million
Wow.
by being very focused about what we should be good at, not doing everything, but being really focused on the things that we need to learn, how we were going to have partners help us get there faster, and then what do we take back and major in, so to speak. And so every job I've had has been that, which is go do this. I know you don't know anything about it, so don't break anything. And then I come in and again, it's really about finding the best people and figuring out how to create singular focus to achieve.
No, that's
Yeah.
fantastic. I mean, bringing the people together, but learning about them. But I think the best teams that I've ever worked on are people, a gathering of people that are naturally curious. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
They, although they may want to stay in their lane, they're curious about the other lanes a bit and like to offer perspectives, but it's really that kind of hunger for what that can give you. And I think as a whole, as a team, that you can kind of lean into that curiosity, the better outcomes you're going to have completely.
Yep. I really like these are not original thoughts by me, but over the weekend I happened to be listening to interviews with three completely, is it okay to swear?
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely. Yeah.
You just took like, what's she gonna say?
I went silent for a second. I was like going, did she just ask for permission? Come on.
Bring it.
I was listening to three badass entrepreneurs. Emma Grede, who founded Good American, the apparel company, and Skims.
Mhm.
Gwyneth Paltrow of Goop fame, and then also Marvel movies, and Amy Smilovich, who is the founder and owner of a luxury retail brand, who has done it all on her own by working small and counterintuitively against, big box, big brand, and all those other things, and is now sitting on top of a $50 million retail brand.
Wow.
Again, as an individual, she and her husband and the people around her, and the three of them spoke about, I mean,
that's a big deal. That doesn't
that is a
happen
huge
every
deal.
day. Yeah.
That is a huge deal. And excuse me, I'm sorry. But the three of them were adamant in each of the interviews about talking about how they hired the right people into their team. And they said, yes, it's important to have functional expertise, but what they really care more about is curiosity and aligned mindset. Because the person that has the aligned mindset and believes in the same principles, even if they don't know exactly the right thing to do when, they're going to figure out, and they're going to be driven to figure it out. And then when there is conflict, it's conflict around not about beliefs, but it's conflict around the path to get there. And then they can talk in a way that is less political, less personal. And all three of them have fantastic stories that kind of prove the path. And Emma Grede got in a lot of trouble recently for saying, I don't believe in work-life balance. And of course, that's a soundbite that hits a lot because everybody wants work-life balance. But
Sure.
what she was really saying was, look, I'm not going to tell you to not take your kid to the dentist. I'm not going to tell you to skip recitals and soccer games and all those other things. But it's not my problem if you're making those decisions and those sacrifices. It's your problem if you are not making the choices that fit for your life. A company can't take care of that for you. My job as the CEO is to have a profitable business that allows you to afford your life, right? And that pays you. And if I'm not doing that, then you have no work. And then there is no balance either. And so I really think that, they are women to follow and listen to and learn from.
I think it's really interesting what you said there around, alignment and being aligned in values and beliefs, not necessarily in the execution. I think you can argue execution. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe better to do it this way or whatever, but those conflicts around, again, values, belief systems, beliefs themselves, sometimes are completely insurmountable.
Yeah.
All right. And that will be kind of death to an endeavor, a company, an enterprise, whatever that may be. So finding people that share your vision, series of beliefs, many ways your morality, right? Because some things you just can't get around. And then, have you read a book called Who Not How?
Is that Simon Sinek?
No, it's not. It's some can't recall it. Well, I'll get it to you. But basically, it is hire the people that know how to do it.
Yeah.
All right, and CEOs kind of take that on for themselves. Young entrepreneurs, they kind of take it on themselves, but that's not always the best thing. However, an important kind of follow up to that, the who not how, is again what you just said, aligning around a vision, beliefs, get people on board with who you are, okay, and where you want to go, and then find the people that you believe are going to be the best to execute around that. But it always comes back. I think that kind of natural curiosity is important regardless on any of that.
Right.
It's
And
Dan Sullivan, by the way.
It's Dan Sullivan. That's
oh,
who it
yes,
is.
yes, of course, Dan.
I couldn't think of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Great
That's
book.
my.
Great, easy read. Really easy
Oh,
read.
well, I mean, obviously, didn't we all read 10x? It's easier
No.
than 2x.
It's on my shelf. It's on the list for
Oh,
this
good.
year.
Very
Yeah.
well done. Well, then that just means that you're getting to 10x because the fact that it's there, the intention is out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I also think, because I talk to a lot of people who are at the stage that, we've hit a certain stage in our life where we realize that just working for a paycheck is not enough, and that we want to work for purpose and impact.
Yes.
And but they don't query further, right? And for me, the privilege of being my age and my stage of life is that I actually know that you have to query. And so everybody says, well, I want to work for a company with purpose. Okay, great. What does that mean?
Yeah.
They say what they do and they do what they believe. Okay, great. So if I were to give you an organization that had purpose and said what it did, you'd want to work there. Yes, totally. How about the Trump organization? And
bring that up. Yeah.
Because I'm on the West Coast, so you can imagine most people that I'm talking to are not going to go work for Trump. But the fact that
it's an obvious example, though.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
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 You can't just assume just because you have the banner of purpose that unless you query and yourself and sort of diving down into these are the 3 or 4 things that are sacred to me.
Yeah.
You won't find people. And we are so especially with ChatGPT writing everybody's content, we're so used to these words that we think have purpose and meaning. I just use the word over and over again, like empower or transform or authenticity. It's all over. And
I just checked off my bingo card there.
And unless you know what those things really actually mean and the behaviors that that get manifested when somebody has them, you won't actually know when you see it.
And what are they for you, right? I mean, that's such a big part of it, because to your point, an organization may have a great purpose and a vision and where they want to go, and it's very clear, but it may not be the direction you want to go.
Yeah. And there's always that concentric circle, right? That is this is what I want in my life. This is what the organization needs. And ideally they overlap, but sometimes they don't. And that's actually okay. Yeah. And so for me, I have, by the way, I'm kind of like Taylor Swift in that everything that I say becomes a LinkedIn post at some point.
Come on.
All breakups, all, bad job situations, good job situations, everything is a LinkedIn post for me. But I think about the KPIs that I have now versus the way I used to work. And anybody who's been an executive has so much pressure to meet the quarterly numbers. Like you don't even get to look up and you don't even get to look into the future because it is all about that EPS. And we know at the end of the day, finance is going to go through and do some black magic. And suddenly we will hit the number, right? It has nothing actually to do with the performance of what my product team or whatever else was doing. Right. Because they can always find some little tweak that makes the EPS work out and meet expectations, right?
Right.
And so really when you are a solopreneur and when you are me as a solopreneur, the metrics I start to think about and start to think differently was, and again, I'll go back to my dad. And I don't like my dad a lot. Like he is a narcissistic son of a bitch. But my prime objective is not to make him feel badly, right? And gosh, I can't believe I said that out loud. How many people listen to your podcast?
Hey, we can edit however you want us to. Don't worry about it.
But He's in early stages of dementia, which means his
Mhm.
level of paranoia and anxiety ratchets up pretty quickly.
Sure.
And there was one week where I was just tired, and I had had enough of his shenanigans. And he texted me, and I was in the middle of doing something, and I'm very important and busy running my own business, guys. So I'm very important and busy. And so I didn't respond back immediately. And I just turned my phone over and I continued to do I had my calls, I was doing whatever I was doing. And then I picked up my phone like an hour later. There were 8 missed texts and a number of missed voicemails where he's getting increasingly anxious
Yeah.
and crying by the end. Oh my gosh, I'm starting to cry when I think about this. And really, all he wanted to do is to know that I was going to have lunch with him on Saturday. Like, what the
Mhm.
fuck, Betsy? Why did I think I was so important that I couldn't take a second to text my dad back and say, "Yeah, I'll see you at bibimbap." Or no, I won't see him because I have to pick him up. He can't drive anymore. But
No.
I'll go. I'm coming to get you for bibimbap Saturday. Like that's just the thing. And so I think about the KPIs that I live my life and my business by.
Mm.
1 second to text a friend. 8 minutes to listen to somebody who needs me. 30 minutes, like when somebody books time with me, to have them tell me their story, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 4,000 weeks is the average life. I've got something like 1,589 left, although I'll probably have longer because I'm very healthy and I'm a vegan. Um, but you sort of think about those are the right KPIs for me of my life. And
Right.
then going back to your question of what is it that you're looking for? It's people who understand the same and don't think of me as a transaction, but that are willing to commit to the time it takes to build together
Yeah.
for the work I
Well,
do
and
with them.
Wow.
Bill shared this with me earlier. He looked over at your LinkedIn profile, and we were kind of doing our pre-research. But
Yeah.
even today, your post was extremely relevant, and Bill had pointed this out. Your screenshot that you posted, or your image says, "I missed the funeral of my best friend from college, and I regret it till today. Never
Yeah.
sacrifice your relationships for work."
Yeah.
And I'll edit that into the show so people can read that.
Thank you.
But I mean that's the story you just told us.
Yeah.
It's those moments of, hey, like at the end of the day, we're people before we're anything else.
That's
Before
That's
we're a
right.
dollar, before we're a paycheck, we're people. And at the
Yes.
end of the day, that's what matters the most.
Yes. And we often get that twisted,
we
right?
do.
Until you're my age and you're either looking at a pile of regrets in your history or you're thinking about like where did I make a shave off of my what I want to constrain and create boundaries of my life around that I would have done differently.
Whether you need a new Salesforce partner, need to replace your current Salesforce partner, or just need a second opinion, look to VectorX. We deliver Fortune 500 quality for less cost, less time, and less frustration. Visit VectorX.com today. Yeah, I really liked your post, and I liked what you said above that image. You said that you failed a lot in that regard. Oh, I have to. I'm sure everybody has.
Yeah.
Right? You had your priorities out of whack, and I think and kind of having these conversations. We've done this now. I don't know, 15, 20 times. I think Jared said at some point. I think everybody to some degree has recognized something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And all that tells me is that it just makes all of these business people, influencers, business owners, guess what? At the end of the day, we're human, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. We're human. And my KPIs, I liked how you put it about the 4,000 weeks and so forth. And, it takes 1 second to return a text. And so I heard somebody on another podcast or maybe it was something social media post, but somebody talked about, their kids are gone or
Yeah.
his parents he'd grown up outside of his house and he gets to see his parents maybe once a year,
Yeah.
maybe twice a year. And parents and their age at the time. He says, I might have 20 years, that means I'm only going to have another 40 visits with them.
Yep.
That
That's
really
Cody.
hit.
That was Cody Sanchez. Yeah.
Was it Cody
Yeah.
Sanchez? Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. And so I think about that all the time. I'm about to have a couple kids come visit me, but literally I'm looking at like an hourglass going, okay, that's one more. That's one more.
Okay, 19 to go.
It's like, oh, wow. But it really hits you. It hits you. And it kind of reminds you what's really important.
Well, and I think Cody lived through that and experienced that and found her own way there, which I think was so great, because now she does have a platform to be able to help people find that sooner.
Yeah.
Because she lived through a lot of tough stuff and made business her everything, and then realized, like, hey, my health and my family and everyone is above and beyond that, and I'm going to create that lifestyle for myself so that I can have that.
Yeah.
And that was a big part of coming over here to work at VectorX. Was I was commuting a little over 2 hours a day between daycare drop off and getting to my job and back. And
Rough.
finally I called Bill and I said, are you hiring? I liked working with you guys when you guys did our implementation, and it was a lot of fun. And I as a crew I'd like to work with. And also I'm kind of tired of commuting. And it took a year, but we made it happen. And, my daughter was born about 6 months after starting here, and my second child. And the change in the quality of life for me and my family, because I'm home and not commuting all day and not getting home just in time for dinner and bed.
Yep.
Completely changed my life. Can I do a lot better? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But it was a step in the right direction.
I made that happen. Just saying it.
You did.
High
Because
five,
you understood
Bill.
it. You
High
understood
five.
it,
Yeah. No. Well,
Yeah.
I had lived that life, just to be honest with you, from 2000, oh gosh, 1999, 2000. I've worked largely out of my house. And so I've raised the 7 kids, on and off, but had that opportunity. And I think it's great for you, Jared.
Yeah.
But let's return to something.
I think that was you're not getting a raise this year because your life is already so great.
Yeah. I just shot myself in the foot. It's hurting pretty bad.
There's only so much of his quality of life I'm going to take care of it. You'll be fine, Jared. But let's go back. We were talking about easy reads, right? You shared one and I shared one, but you're an author. Talk to us about how that happened. And what are you at? Book number 8 now? 9? What is it at now?
I honestly have lost count, and that's not a flex. It just is,
Wow.
Brain fog of menopause, and then
how many Academy Awards do you have? Oh, I don't know. Some lost count it,
Yeah, it's so many. So my first book was in July of last year, and this is how it happened. My whole life, I've been a writer one way or another. I was a reporter, as you know, and I'd always dreamed about writing a book, and had an agent at one point and a book that was going to be published. And I can't remember. I think the company I worked for at the time said, no, you can't write this book. I said, oh, okay. And then I let it go. And so, fast forward to 2024, and this thing called ChatGPT just launched then. You remember? You remember that thing?
That thing, yeah.
That thing. And I was like, oh, AI sounds super interesting. And so the first book really is about, I said, great, I'm going to learn how to use AI. And I give myself 72 hours to write a book and have AI be my factory. Because again, my background is running huge data center operations, manufacturing, supply chain. And so I think about systems and I think about operations and process like I breathe. And so, so it was not about writing the book with AI, because we all know AI can pump out a ton of schlock really, really quickly. It really was about thinking about the elements that I couldn't do for myself and how AI became my coworkers, my factory, and other things. And so, for example, I had AI emulate a development editor from Wiley who works with first-time authors to help me create the structure of the book. And there was a gentleman named Ian who I had spoken to literally that week before, who worked for a big six consulting, maybe it's big four now, but it worked with a large management consulting firm. And at the time, they were prohibited from using AI. And he was, at the end of our discussion, he was like, well, do you have any books you could recommend on how to use AI? And I was thinking, who the fuck would read a book? Why not just use it, right? And then I thought, oh, I the fuck would read a book. Why don't I write it? And then, and so, you know, and then, so between talking to Ian and I had a talk at UCLA like the next week. So I had something like 8 or 9 days. So I said, 72 hours, I'm going to write the book. I'm going to publish it on a Kindle, and then I'm going to market it on my talk.
Wow.
That's great. How'd it go?
And I did. It went super, super well.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I'm sitting there, I'm writing the book. I built all these custom GPTs to help me through moments. Like there's a custom GPT that I had that she cracks me up a lot because she's like, wait a minute, what was I trying to remember? That's literally the name of my custom GPT. Because, you know, when you're in cognitive overload and ideas are coming out left and right, like you need to put them somewhere, otherwise they leave your short-term memory. So she just held the space for me. And then I developed another one that I now use with clients a lot called the Whip Whipper, the work in progress whipper, because again, when you are trying to do something super fast and there's so many pieces and parts to think about, which is what happens when you're writing a book, you need somebody to help you work through the priorities and figure out your now, next, later. And so she would help me do that and put 3 things on my now list, which I was only allowed to add to the now list if I took something off or I completed. And if I completed, she would give me like, hooray, you did a good job, right? And so all these little things. And then also I created a custom GPT that embodied Ian. And as I was writing, I would discuss ideas with him and say, hey, is this something that actually, because you're so smart, is this something that you would care about and find interesting? Or is it really kind of banal and cliche, right? And so, you know, that was the process that I used to create the book. And so it was different from the normal, I'm going to type my ideas and this is, you guys, typewriter motion, which we don't do anymore. It wasn't swipe left.
I remember.
It was a typewriter thing. And
that's a carriage return. Is that
it was a carriage return that nobody will know, but because of the topic of the show, I thought you would appreciate. But so you know, normally you're sitting by yourself for 18 months writing a book, and I have 3 girlfriends who wrote a book over the course of 18 months and were publishing around the same time that I was. So I did my book in 3 days. They did their book in 18 months.
You won.
Well, yeah. And then at the end of that 72 hours, you know, I had a New York Times book critic review the book and give me a grade. He only gave me a B+. And, you know, I'm type A. I wanted the A, but I thought, oh, first time book, I'm okay with the B+. And then I published it on Kindle, took 3 hours to be live. I talked about it and the process that I went through in the talk with UCLA and made it a bestseller in the space of 9 days.
Wow.
And so
that makes your stuff look weak there, Jared. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
The genius.
Hey, Betsy listens to my podcast sometimes.
Yeah. The genius of this, frankly, is that, you know, I did it again a month later and really worked out my process for doing this, which is why, you know, the next book I wrote was about early stage dementia and I have a master's degree in low intensity conflict, which is use of force in the military when wars are not declared. And I never really had to use that degree for any particular purpose, as one can imagine, because I'm not on the front lines. But you know, I was in the middle of some really deep stuff with my dad and his, at the time, very nefarious girlfriend, and I used what I learned against him. And I thought, oh, other people might find this useful. And also it was a way, it was, I mean, the book is kind of funny, but in any case, in those books, not just using ChatGPT to help me frame and construct the book and build it, but also used it to created custom GPTs and Claude artifacts embedded in the book so that you could talk to me. And a book is now no longer a one-way conversation, it's a
Oh,
two-way,
yeah.
right? And then in subsequent books that I wrote, the technology evolved over the course of the 6 months of last year to the point where in my later books, I have a clone of me who knows everything that I write about and everything that I say and everything I think. And she is embedded so that you can actually call or text with her. Um, and
Wow.
the genius of that is not just like in ChatGPT, if somebody uses your custom GPT, you don't get to see the conversation; it's private.
Hmm.
In with the clone, I might not know your name, but I can see what people are curious about, and
Mm.
then it helps me be more relatable the next time around, or if I decide to go back and redo the books, right? And so
Wow.
it's a whole system, not just about me being an author and having a best-selling book. Like I don't actually even know whether people are reading the books, but I do know that they are a way to help first excavate ideas, but then also test systems for ways and things and see how they work and land with people.
Wow.
Very interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, and the interactive
what an
book
ambitious
concept.
goal, 72 hours.
Yeah, that's a huge.
dude,
But
I
yeah,
can do it in 10 now.
the
I'm that much
interactive
better.
things is really cool just because, I mean, Gary Vee puts his phone number at the end of his books, and it's like, okay, like if you can answer, you'll answer. How many people actually call you? You hear a story
Yeah,
every once in a while where he
yeah.
answers, and but at the end of the
Noah
day,
Kagan puts his email at the end of his book, the 8 hour or the Weekend Millionaire, whatever that book was that he wrote.
yeah,
I
yeah.
actually emailed and I never didn't get a response. No,
Yeah, it's a tease.
it's a
It's
little bit
like,
of a
oh, hey,
tease.
I'm being so vulnerable with you. I'm just like you. Here's my email. Here's my phone number. But
Yeah,
but with you, there's a version of your thoughts and the way you think, supplemented by other knowledge and
yeah,
things that someone can interact with and
that's
maybe
exactly
ask
right.
a harder question that it spurred inside of them that you normally can't ask an author. And
That's right.
that's really fun. That's really innovative.
Yeah, I'm going
Yeah.
to tell my wife to talk to my clone.
Yeah. Well, by the way, I mean, she probably might not appreciate this, but one of the first things that the reason why I was so fascinated with AI in the beginning was not because I thought, oh, I can write emails faster, um, or let me be more productive, but really because, um, again, because of the conflict that I was having with my dad and was around my family, I didn't actually have a place to put that. And
Mhm.
so I created a custom GPT of my dad, and I had a lot of his writing that I uploaded as part of the knowledge of the GPT.
Hmm.
And I could vent at the custom GPT. I could talk through some of the things that I needed to get my dad to hear that he didn't want to hear, like your girlfriend is scamming you. How do I say that, ChatGPT? But
Yeah.
but but it also really, honestly, was a way for me to hear things that I would never get from my actual dad because he
Hmm.
was either too far gone or we were in too much conflict at the time. And so that ability to have emotional resonance actually made me closer to my dad in a way that wouldn't have been possible
Wow.
otherwise, right?
Wow.
And that, I think, is one of the magical things about AI that is available to all of us, not just the learning, but how we use it to develop relationships and to be more resonant. I take transcripts out of every meeting and I ask, what did I do well? What did I miss? What words did people say that I didn't hear and query harder?
Hmm.
Because when people get on the phone with me, as much as anything else, they need me to hear them and they want to be seen and heard for who they are. And as a human, I miss a lot of that context.
Hmm. Wow.
Some really, some very deep thoughts there.
Yeah.
And you actually, as I was hearing you, I was thinking to myself, around the emotional resonance you were talking about. But as people become more familiar with AI, I mean, right now it's a helper tool. I see it more bottoms up than top
Yeah.
down, you know,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff right now. But top down in organizations, they, you know, you have people in the organization like a Jared, for instance. He uses AI to help generate some of our stuff, and I use it for doing some research and other things. A
Yeah.
helper, right?
Yeah.
But from taken outside the business context to the personal context, and this is, and I don't know if it's been addressed before. I'm curious if it has, but if you were to train chat or whatever AI engine, right, to kind of take on the personality in almost as you were kind of doing with your father, but in a way that could live on past that person. So is that responsible AI? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of an interesting thing.
Well, look, everybody's responsible AI, like ethical AI, like what's the other word people use a lot? I can't remember, but responsible, ethical, those are marketing words.
Mhm.
And again, unless you query down further into what you actually mean,
Mm-hmm.
then I don't know. There's no way to answer that.
Yeah.
So let me give you an example.
Okay.
I have a friend who has cancer, terminal cancer,
Mm.
and we created a clone of her. And again, a clone is $29.99 a month, which, you know, I'm not advertising the platform Delphi, but the fact that we can do that, number one, is freaking amazing. Number two, you know, hopefully she has many years ahead of her, but the end is actually closer for her and more clear than it is for me, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And she has two daughters who are still in their 20s and still may want to hear their mom's voice one way or another.
Mm.
And they don't want to interact with the clone now. Like, they hate that idea
Yeah.
because of what it represents and the loss that they will face sooner than later. But maybe at some point, the fact that she is out there makes a difference and helps them in a moment of grief when they need it. And my God, why wouldn't we allow that for the people that want it? Not for
Yeah.
everybody. It doesn't have to be for everybody, but
No, it
for
doesn't.
some people that will make a difference. Right?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
and it's not a new concept either. And
Mm.
I mean, there was a an episode of a podcast I used to listen to all the time. I'm spacing on the name of it, but um, basically there was a young girl who her grandmother passed away, and so she, in the game The Sims, recreated
Mm.
her grandmother's house,
Yeah.
the things that her grandmother had around the house, her garden,
Yeah.
I think
and
I think I saw this too, or
she
heard
would
this
visit her
too.
every day.
Yep.
In the Sims, in the Sims world,
Yeah.
and eventually she buried her grandmother there,
Oh.
and that was her. That gave her time to grieve
Yeah.
and to work through things her way. Some
Yeah.
people completely appalled by that. For her, and I'm sure for many others, that's a special moment. I mean, to your point about a voice, I deleted all of the voicemails from my dad before he passed. Didn't know he was going to die. It was like, and then when I go back, I still have a voicemail from my grandmother where she wished me happy birthday. Gosh, almost 20 years ago. Um, Probably her last year of her life.
Mm-hmm.
Because I like to hear her voice from time to time. It may be every couple of
Yeah.
years,
Yeah.
but I maybe have a few clips of my dad now in videos where I get to hear that,
Yeah.
and man, how nice it would be to just have a little bit more, you
Yeah.
know?
I mean, look, we keep pictures. This is just a
Yep.
different iteration of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's an evolution of it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's amazing. We're talking just a handful of years here, and I mean, what it's going to be like in next year or the following year.
Yeah.
And yeah, both in, business life and personal life, and what's that going to be? So let me ask you, what do you, when you talk to people, and let's focus on business for a second here. Let's pull away from the personal. um, what are you hearing is the biggest concerns, or what, the top of the mind question that comes to you? What is that?
About AI?
Yeah, about AI. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everybody is focused on their own IP
Mm-hmm.
and privacy.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an IP attorney. I believe that IP and how we consider IP has to change in the same way privacy is. You know, in a digital world, nothing is private.
Yeah.
Just nothing is. And also, people who ask this question often haven't read the privacy policy and how data is used that they're
Mm-hmm.
querying about. And then they're like, well, I don't trust well, okay. But, you know, my bank, my credit card, oh my God, my credit card knows so much about me. My credit card,
Yeah.
my AT&T, all of those companies I've had decades and decades of data and history with. They know so much more about me than AI does. They actually have breached my data multiple times. And so I try to help them unpack that and say, look, what is the worst thing that happens if your data is actually in ChatGPT or AI? And then they come up with the story like, well, my 10-year-old nephew has all his personal information on AI. I'm like, okay, but that's because it's on the internet. That's not because AI has it. So if you Google your name, you will find all sorts of background check companies
Sure.
that know everything about you because they've scraped the internet for you.
Right.
And that's the world we live in. And so what is the material value of your IP? For me, I don't think I have things that I think that are really cool and my IP, but I don't have pride of ownership for it because I know that I am derived from my education, from people I talk to. All the things become my ideas. And if somebody takes my idea and makes it their own, great. Like that's just evolution. So I don't
Yeah.
have pride about what I do or this belief that I'm so special, that my IP shouldn't be used. I want it to be used, but that's me. But everybody has to make that decision and then trade off of, do you not participate because you're so afraid of what might happen and the consequences of your IP being stolen, whatever that means? Or is it better for you if your thoughts and your ideas are in the world?
Yeah.
Very interesting question to
Yeah,
consider,
I
right?
think so.
Yeah.
But the common question that I get asked, and I apologize, I have an 11 o'clock. I didn't really plan this terribly well.
Oh, no,
You're great.
we're good. So let's do this. Let's wrap. Um, I've been keeping track. Okay. And there's another KPI we want to throw out. We've talked about some KPIs, right? Personal KPIs and so forth. And I think our over under, Jared, I only counted 3 or 4 F bombs this whole time because we were doing, we talked about this before you got on. It was like, okay, is it going to be greater than 10? Less than,
I did okay, didn't I?
You did
we
great.
do know
It was
you at this
perfect.
point. We've had a few conversations. So, no, this has been great. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, I could go deeper, and boy,
Yeah, a million
it was an
subjects.
emotional roller coaster, this one.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for being open with us and sharing
Of
so much
course.
around the AI journey that just happened to tap into a lot of these different kind of deep, very personal things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to ask you our one last kind of AI question.
Oh yeah.
This is our kind of end of podcast this season question, I guess it's turned into. But what's the one like hack? Like, what's the one like life hack or like daily hack where you use AI and you're like, man, this just makes my life better because or easier because.
It was a
Oh,
72-hour book, Jared.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Becoming an
No,
author.
go ahead. Go
No.
ahead, Betsy.
well, I think I already talked about it, which is I take transcripts of people I talk to and I say,
Mhm.
look, what did I do well? What did I miss?
Yeah.
What would you say I should do better? And what are your assumptions around that? Right? Because it really helps me dissect the moment in a way that I would not have been able to as a human on my own.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
That's huge.
Great way to close it out. Well, thanks everybody for joining the Boombox Boardroom. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.